You are a liar. You have elevated falsehoods. You thrive in evoking fear. Not my words. That of the charge describing President William Ruto.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much, guys, for your great support. Now, fellow Kenyans, before we get into this discussion, because there are 2-3 things that I want us to talk about. I want us to first talk about what has happened in Uganda, whereby General Muhozi decided to shut down the NTV and some media stations for airing what the kind of dictatorship or the way he's ruling Uganda. And also, remember William Ruto threatened KTN, and he told KTN that I've allowed you can do this thing 8 days a week. Of course, we know very well that a week has got 7 days, but now William Ruto aliongeza NTV, aliongeza KTN another day, akaifanya zikuwa 8 days. So he's also a creator in his own, creating another day, another day to make a week, his own week, to have got 8 days. There is something here that let me watch, though it has been combined with this, some funny things, but I'm surprised if the president can say that aliongea na the owner of AI, and in fact even saying ChatGPT is a problem. So it just tells you that this man is lying. I want you to watch or listen to him, and then now we get back and talk about Uganda.
2 days ago, I had interaction with the owner of AI.
You are a liar. You have elevated falsehoods.
Artificial intelligence and ChatGPT, whatever it's called. And I asked him a question, you know, because it's now documented that Kenyans are the number one. Kenya is the number one country in the use of social media in the world. In the world, every Kenyan spends 4 hours and 13 minutes every day on social media. So I was asking this good man, what have you done to my people? You know? And we agreed with him that we are not going to be mere consumers of his platform. We must be co-creators, and we must begin as a country to appropriate the space around technology and how we can use it for commerce, for learning, for delivery of public service, for agriculture, for trade, for investment, not just for all the other things that social media present.
You are a liar. You have elevated falsehoods. You thrive in evoking fear. Not my words. That of the charge describing President William Ruto.
Now, let's talk about Uganda, because sasa hiyo utaniambia maoni yako kwenye sehemu ya maoni. Just tell me what you think about what the president just said. Him talking with the owner of the AI, you know, about how Kenyans can improve AI, because he's saying that in a day, Kenyans, every Kenyan spends 4 hours 13 minutes on the internet. In fact, anajua mpaka ile masaa na dakika ambayo mtu ambayo wa Kenya wanamalizaga kwa internet. I want us to talk about Uganda. They are our brothers and sisters, and at least we have to say 1 or 2 things about what is happening in Uganda. General Muhoozi he decided to shut down the NTV after reporting him.
Now, 11 days ago, NTV Uganda, our sister station, ran a feature asking a pointed question. Is General Muhozi Kainerugaba above the law? Tonight, he appears to have answered. Uganda's Chief of Defense Forces and son of President Yoweri Museveni has ordered the indefinite shutdown of the nation media group's entire Uganda operation. NTV Uganda, Spark TV, The Daily Monitor, KFM, Dembe FM, all dark tonight. Their premises under military siege, their managing director being hunted. The East African region's press bodies say this is one of the gravest assaults on media freedom in the region's recent history. Meanwhile, Nation Media Group Uganda has this evening released a statement.
NTV Weekend Edition this Saturday.
This was the last live news broadcast from NTV Uganda on Saturday evening. Just after midnight, soldiers moved on the Nation Media Group headquarters in Namuwongo, Kampala. By 5 a.m. Sunday morning, NTV Uganda and Spark TV had gone dark. KFM and Dembe FM fell silent. Staff inside were told no one enters and no one leaves. The orders did not come through Uganda's Communications Commission, nor through the Media Council established under the Press and Journalism Act. It came through X, from a man in military uniform.
General Muhozi's X account feed reads like a thriller script.
Just over a week ago, NTV Uganda aired a feature asking whether General Muhozi Kainerugaba had become Uganda's untouchable lawbreaker, examining his prolific and provocative social media posts, from threats against neighboring countries to remarks targeting opposition figures, and asking whether he had placed himself above the law. In a sequence of posts through the night and into Sunday, General Muhozi announced, escalated, and celebrated the shutdown. At 1:02 Sunday morning, he said NTV and Monitor are being shut down from today. Minutes later, he says both NTV and Monitor will not reopen without my permission. By 9:47 a.m., he was explicit about where he believes his authority originates, writing that he had the power to shut down any media house in Uganda since 2017, a power given to him, in his words, by his father, the president. And by Sunday afternoon, as if to mock any notion of accountability, he posted that he had heard the closures were costing NMG $5 million a day and described that as, in his words, good news. But what does the law actually say? Uganda's own constitution is ambiguous. Article 29(1)(a) explicitly states that every person shall have the right to freedom of speech and expression, which shall include freedom of the press and other media. Article 41 provides the right to seek, receive, and impart information. And Articles 44 and 45 protect media freedom and prohibit any derogation from those protected rights. The Press and Journalism Act of 1995 further specifically protects the freedom of the press, outlining the rights and responsibilities of media organizations. No provision in any of those laws grants the Chief of Defense Forces the power to silence a newsroom at midnight via social media.
Can Museveni be hosted on NTV? There is no hostile media house in Uganda kakati towards NRM and President Museveni like NTV.
But more disturbing is General Muhozi's targeting of NMG Uganda's managing director Susan Nasibirwa, writing that he was looking for her, that she would be disciplined, and instructed all police patrols to arrest her on sight. The language used to describe a woman media executive as a small girl who cannot cause chaos was as revealing of his disposition as the shutdown itself. Uganda's government spokesperson, Alan Kasuja, appeared to have intervened. Muhozi posted that his brother Kasuja had asked him to leave Sue to him and that police patrols were now on standby. It was the only moment that suggested any internal checks on the general's authority. The region's press bodies have not minced their words. The Eastern Africa Editors Society called the shutdown a grave assault on press freedom and the public's fundamental right to receive information, urging the African Union, the East African Community, and the African Commission to press for the immediate restoration of press freedom. The East African Press Councils, in a separate statement, reminded governments that the answer to grievances with the media is not troops, it is the compliant mechanisms the law already provides. Incidentally, the Daily Monitor marks its 30th anniversary this Sunday. For a station that dares to ask the tough questions, like if General Muhozi acts as if he's above the law, it turns out the answer is yes, at least for now. Catherine Omwando, NTV.
Now, this is the video that led to General Muhozi shutting down Uganda's NTV and other media stations.
General Muhozi Kainerugaba, the Chief of Defense Forces, is the third most followed individual on X in Uganda with approximately 1.3 million followers. His father, President Yoweri Museveni, leads with the highest following at over 3.7 million, while opposition leader Robert Kyagulanyi, also known as Bobi Wine, ranks second with approximately 2.7 million followers. General Muhozi's X account feed reads like a thriller script, but one with real diplomatic and legal consequences. The 4-star general, which is the highest rank in the hierarchy of Uganda People's Defense Forces, has faced multiple accusations of exceeding or violating his official mandate. As a senior military officer, his actions are governed by the Uganda People's Defense Forces UPDF Act. According to the UPDF Act, the Chief of Defense Forces shall be responsible for the command, control, coordination, and administration of the Defense Forces. But critics argue General Muhozi has overstepped this mandate. There are several examples to back up this. First, the unlawful personal detention and alleged torture of especially opposition political figures. For instance, General Muhozi in May 2025 publicly admitted on X that he was holding Kyagulanyi's bodyguard, Eddie Mutwe, who had gone missing for some days in his private basement, which was definitely outside any gazetted detention facility. He posted photos of the detainee while shaved, claimed to have beaten him, and threatened further violence. The Uganda Human Rights Commission declared the detention unlawful and ordered immediate release, citing contempt risks. Critics and the Uganda Law Society condemned it as arbitrary detention, incommunicado holding, and potential torture. General Muhozi rejected the Uganda Human Rights Commission's directive, dismissing the order as stupid and demanding an apology from the human rights body. Yet, his actions violated constitutional prohibitions on unlawful detention and anti-torture obligations as per the United Nations Convention Against Torture. And now, former Kampala City Lord Mayor, lawyer and opposition politician Erias Lukwago has become General Muhozi's latest victim. He was detained by soldiers on Monday, 15th June, after preparing to serve court papers on General Muhozi related to threats and the Eddie Mutwe abduction. Muhozi confirmed the arrest on social media, posted taunting images and captions, and vowed to inflict hurt and pain and kiboko, or severe beating. General Muhozi noted that, and I quote, "I am proud of all the hurt and pain I will inflict on the criminal Lukwago." Lukwago's case is similar to that of Eddie Mutwe. Military involvement in detaining a civilian lawyer for legal actions against the CDF undermines civilian oversight. Before Lukwago and Mutwe, General Muhozi threatened to kill 4-time presidential candidate Dr. Kizza Besigye, who is in prison on treason accusations, and opposition leader Robert Kyagulanyi. He also publicly announced that security had killed at least 22 National Unity Platform party supporters, whom he referred to as terrorists. General Muhozi's statements aren't just tweets. They potentially violate Uganda's Penal Code Act Cap 120. Section 81 of the Penal Code, for instance, provides that any person who, clause A, with intent to intimidate or annoy any person, threatens to injure, assault, shoot or kill any person, or to burn, break or injure any property, or clause B, with the intent to alarm any person, discharges a firearm or commits any other breach of the peace, commits an offense and is liable to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 4 years. Repeated death threats against political opponents could also touch on broader prohibitions against incitement that risks public peace. General Muhoozi has also been involved in potentially unauthorized foreign policy and diplomatic overreach. Recently, he announced suspension of all UPDF cooperation with the US Embassy, accusing it of harboring Robert Kyagulanyi. However, he later deleted the tweets and apologized. US senators called for sanctions review. In 2022, he tweeted that, and I quote, "It wouldn't take us, my army and me, 2 weeks to capture Nairobi." Kenya erupted in outrage. President Museveni publicly apologized, and Muhozi was briefly removed as the commander of the land forces, but promoted from the rank of lieutenant general to a full general. Foreign policy is an executive function and not unilateral by CDF. Such statements can damage Uganda's international relations, potentially violating UPDF disciplinary codes and constitutional command structures. General Muhoozi supporters argue these are passionate expressions of a leader defending national interests, often followed by apologies or deletions when tensions rise. No formal charges have struck against the four-star general, despite petitions and widespread calls. Is this freedom of expression for a public figure or a dangerous erosion of civilian oversight and the rule of law?
Now imagine that huyo ni kijana ya rais, and automatically Muhozi is going to be the next president of Uganda, whether they like it or not. So I was trying to do that comparison of what led to Muhozi shutting down Ugandan NTV media stations and what KTN is doing for us in this country. Sasa nikajiuliza, kama Muhozi angekuwa Kenya, angefanya nini? What could he has angefanya nini yasua, kwa sababu pale ambapo panaelekea ama kule ambako tupo ama pale ambapo pamefika, inahitaji mtu ambaye, inahitaji mtu kiongozi Kenya, inahitaji kiongozi ambaye yuko tu. Because if you try to go hard on these people, you know, Kenyans are very funny. If you really try to go hard on Kenyans, it's like going hard on them is telling them continue. So they won't stop. They will not stop as you think. Awatasimama. Ukifikiria kwamba watasimama, they won't. So it becomes a little bit difficult and a little bit tricky, because at the end of the day, Ugandans need to know what is happening in their country. And now their government, which is being led by the son of the dictator, is threatening them and saying that this one cannot happen. And in fact, he said in his tweets, on his X, that for those media stations to be opened, to be reopened again, they must report to him, and he must give permission for them to be opened, to be reopened. So I really don't know. I'm trying to fathom. I've been trying to ask myself a lot of questions concerning this, because if a leader, if a general will take now power upon himself and say that he's shutting down the media stations, yet is not the president, it tells a lot about that leadership. And you know, sometimes I normally say that Uganda is not being led by they're not following the constitution. Ugandans are following the mind of a person. Mtu anakaa chini hivi anasema kwamba we need to do this. Now, they don't follow the constitution. Huwa hawafuati constitution kabisa. That is why Museveni is going to be the president until he dies. Because the constitution, yes, the constitution allows the elections, but do they normally do the elections? Let us just say the truth. Waganda huwa wanafanya election. They don't. Ni yule tu mtu mmoja amekaa kwa uongozi for 41 years now. And automatically his son is coming to take over. Because that is what is happening. Like his son is coming to take over. So when his son takes over, what do you think is going to happen? What do you really think is going to happen if his son takes over? Tuseme tu kweli. If his son, when his son takes over, and yeye ameanza sai, what do you think is going to happen? The last one, I want us to listen to KTN Kenya. That was NTV Uganda. Now let's listen to KTN Kenya. The way wanatuambia kuhusu the 6 months man. The man of 6 months. You know, in the next 6 months. In the next 6 months. Can we listen to this? And then you also tell me what you think at the conversation. If you are a Ugandan, you can tell me how is the situation, or how did you take this, or how are you taking this? Because it's something that I know it's hurting, because you're being prevented from knowing what's happening or getting to know what is going on in your own country.
To the lakeside city of Kisumu, commitments have been made. To Kenya's capital, Nairobi,
Kila chief in the next 6 months atakuwa na tablet.
William Ruto to move forward and receive.
In nearly 4 years into the Kenya Kwanza administration, KTN embarks on a journey tracing the footprints of every project that the Kenya Kwanza administration has promised Kenyans since they took office. This promise tracker, a KTN special report, begins right here
at the Nithi Bridge in Tharaka Nithi County. This is the most promised project by President William Ruto. Did he deliver or not?
Hii Nithi itakoma kuua wananchi wa hapa Meru na Tharaka Nithi na sehemu hii. Hii Nithi Bridge mimi nitatengeneza.
Kuna bridge hapo imesumbua sisi na nakumbushwa kila siku, inaitwa Nithi Bridge. Hiyo Nithi Bridge contractor amefika ako kwa hapo.
Nimekubaliana na DP hapa, sio this week, hiyo wiki ingine, si ndio DP? The other week. Huyu mjamaa tuko tayari na contractor ana mobilize. Mimi nataka alete contractor the other week ya bridge ya Nithi.
My assurance to you is that we now have a solution for Nithi Bridge.
Maendeleo ni safari. In the backyard of Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, I spent several hours gazing at the infamous Nithi Bridge. To call this bridge risky would be an understatement. Perched above a treacherous stretch, Nithi Bridge is a constant reminder of a tragedy waiting to happen. Yet, for almost 4 years, President William Ruto has campaigned and used it to woo the people of Meru and Tharaka Nithi.
Hii Nithi Bridge, hii Nithi for Nithi Bridge.
Nithi Bridge.
Ya Nithi. Mimi nitatengeneza.
Today, the question remains, has the promise of a lasting solution crossed the notorious Nithi Bridge? President William Ruto's promises have turned out to be nothing more than smoke and mirrors. When KTN conducted a spot check, the reality on the ground told a different story. The same bridge that was constructed decades ago still stands. For years, this neglected structure has remained a silent witness to tragedy, claiming tens of lives. Several years down the line, concerned citizens are left wondering whether this was just optics.
Sina imani na hii serikali. Hata kama wamefanya tu vitu zenye hatuelewi, hatuna imani na hii serikali kabisa. Kwa sababu ni serikali ya kusema, lakini inasema tu bila matendo. Na si ati pesa ati haiko, pesa haiko. Sasa tunauliza, kwani wanangojea kampeni ifike ili wakuje sasa wapige na hii barabara kampeni? Sababu walisema kuna pesa.
Hata inaanza kupasuka hapo chini. Tutengenezewe hiyo haraka iwezekanavyo. Tuone kama watu wetu sio wa Tharaka Nithi, ni watu wa Kenya mzima ndio wanakufia hapo. Lakini ukiangalia wale wengi ni wale wanatoka Maua, Meru, pande hiyo.
Because President William Ruto and his deputy are on record stating different quotations mixing the entire nation.
We have 7 billion shillings ya kujenga Nithi Bridge.
Sasa tumeweka pesa ya serikali 1.7 billion ya kujenga hiyo barabara, ya kujenga hiyo barabara kiasi, lakini mainly the bridge.
Tuko na solution ya engineering na tuko na pesa ya kufanya hiyo kazi.
There is 2 solutions to that bridge. One will cost us 5 billion shillings and they have designed how it's going to happen. The other one is going to cost us 50 billion shillings.
Hii Nithi Bridge mimi nitatengeneza. Inahitaji shilingi bilioni 7. Ni pesa nyingi.
Well, it's not just Nithi Bridge.
Tutawajengea soko ingine 9.
Across the country, one phrase has become synonymous with President William Ruto's pledge: in 6 months.
In 6 months' time, for the next 6 months, in the next 6 months, and within 6 months, in the next 6 months.
Kuanzia mwezi wa 6.
The in 6 months phrase is actually not new to President William Ruto's political vocabularies. It predates his presidency. Long before he occupied the highest office in the land, then serving as deputy president under the Jubilee administration, Ruto stood before crowds and made a bold commitment regarding the construction of Kamarinyi Stadium.
In 6 months' time, the stadium in Kamarinyi in West Pokot, which is historic, will be complete.
Years later, that pledge remains a reference point in conversations about political promises. It is a pattern that continues to draw scrutiny, especially whenever familiar timelines resurface in new projects. And Kenyans are now asking if 6 months is a deadline or merely a political catchphrase. Let's shift focus to Elgeyo Marakwet County. And for residents here, the Kamarinyi Stadium pledge became a symbol of waiting and delayed transformation. The stadium, referred as a cherished athletic hub in a region known for producing world-beating runners, remained untouched for years since that promise was made. And it is not just Kamarinyi. President William Ruto promised many others before he took office.
In 6 months' time, the stadium in Wote will be complete. In 3 months' time, the stadium in Chuka will be complete. In 3 months' time, the stadium in Moyale will be complete. In a couple of months, the stadium in Eldoret will be complete. In Nyeri, the president gave the title. There was a challenge of title. Now we have a title, and now the program has been rolled out. In Kiambu, in another 3-4 months, the stadium will be complete.
And now with the full weight of presidency behind him, it has not taken 3 months or 6 months or a few months like he mentioned it. It has taken President William Ruto's administration 3 years, and still there is little to show. Kamarinyi is set to host Mashujaa Day on October 20th this year, but construction is yet to commence. And perhaps the government will have to look for alternative grounds to host the national celebration. Looking back on Labor Day, the celebrations in Vihiga County were inside the grounds of Chavakali High School, where classrooms gave way to tents and a school field had been transformed into a national stage. Yet, just a few heartbeats away, Kidundu Stadium, once promised, is yet to be completed. Its construction stalled and later went silent.
We are at the preliminary stages, preparing, securing the area, constructing the perimeter wall.
Then there is Wote Stadium in Makueni County, a project that was launched with optimism in 2017 by President William Ruto, then Deputy President. He promised it would be completed within 6 months.
In 6 months' time, the stadium in Wote will be complete.
Wote Stadium, that we had been promised by the government, it will be complete, let's say in 6 months. And this field has become an impediment on how we can grow our talents. We are having a lot of congestion because in this town we only have one field. That is a police ground hosting 10 senior teams and 4 junior teams and 4 lady teams.
Several years down the line, over 300 million Kenyan shillings have been spent on the project. But on the ground, there is little to match the scale of investment.
We would really like and we would really appreciate that this field is put into use first.
Adjacent to Wote Stadium, President William Ruto's pet project, the affordable housing, is slowly taking shape. Many question about priorities, or is it just optics? Then there is the Kiprugut Chumo Stadium in Kericho, formerly Kericho Green, that hosted the 2023 Mashujaa. In the lead up to the event, the stadium received a facelift. Its surfaces were polished and sections upgraded to meet the demands of a national ceremony. But the moment Kenyans departed, the moment appeared to fade with them.
We are going to redesign the stadium. We are going to remove the current terrace that you see and do new terraces and rework the field and the running track so that we provide 8 lanes in the standard they should be.
The shell of half-built arenas stand as monuments to broken pledges 2 years later. Notably, the stadium had previously received 37 million Kenyan shillings in 2020. Altogether, 437 million Kenyan shillings has been spent here with little to show.
Tulikuwa tumeweka tartan track hapo mbeleni. I think it was in 2020. Kwa ile renovation ilifanywa wakati ya mashujaa, tartan track haiko. Na ukiangalia pia kiwanja bado haijafika ile standard inafaa.
Kioni nyasi ni ile ya ng'ombe. Hapa mvua ikinyesha season ya mwezi wa 4 vizuri, hakuna game inachezwa hapa. Inakuwa kama ni shamba ya ng'ombe.
In Nyeri Tech Rirungu Stadium.
In Nyeri, the president gave the title. There was a challenge of title. Now we have a title, and now the program has been rolled out.
It is one of the projects that have been relaunched multiple times. In 2023, Ruto himself commissioned its construction, but little progress followed, and the contract was terminated after consuming over 250 million Kenyan shillings. By 2025, the project was handed to the Kenya Defence Forces with an estimated cost of 800 million Kenyan shillings. 3 years on, what was envisioned as the largest stadium in the Mount Kenya region, intended to serve Murang'a, Kirinyaga, Nyandarua and Nyeri counties, remains unfinished. In total, the Kenya Kwanza administration has already spent close to 1 billion Kenyan shillings on this project.
Sasa nimeamurisha ya kwamba hii Ruringu sasa nimeambia watu wa jeshi wakuja wanisaidie kukamilisha hiyo Ruringu. And I am very confident that by the end of this year we will complete Ruringu.